The secret behind Leonor's confidence. Confidence is often mistaken for personality. For some, it looks effortless. For others, it appears rehearsed. But in rare cases, very rare, it is neither. It is engineered. When Princess Leonor steps forward, what the world sees is composure. Calm eyes. Controlled posture. A presence that does not demand attention, yet commands it. There is no trembling uncertainty. No hesitation in her gaze. No need to prove anything. And that is precisely what raises the question. Where does this confidence come from? Because confidence like this does not appear overnight. It is not inherited by blood alone. And it is certainly not accidental. It is the result of preparation so deliberate, so disciplined, and so quietly demanding that most people never see it happening. Leonor was born into a role that allows no rehearsal in public, no margin for error, and no escape from scrutiny. From her earliest years, she understood something most adults never fully grasp. That one day, every word she spoke, every pause she took, and every silence she held would be interpreted as meaning something far greater than herself. And so, her confidence was not built to impress. It was built to endure. From childhood, Leonor's world was structured around responsibility rather than privilege. Her education was never designed to create a celebrity royal, nor a distant symbol. Instead, it was built to shape a future head of state. Someone capable of listening more than speaking, absorbing pressure without reacting, and projecting stability even in moments of uncertainty. While other children were encouraged to stand out, Leonor was trained to stand steady. Her schooling emphasized discipline, languages, history, and constitutional understanding, not as academic achievements but as tools of leadership. Each subject served a purpose. Each lesson reinforced the same silent message. Confidence does not come from being the center of attention, it comes from knowing exactly why you are there. This philosophy was deeply influenced by her parents, particularly King Felipe VI, whose own reign has been defined by restraint, seriousness, and institutional loyalty. Felipe understood that modern monarchy survives not through spectacle, but through credibility. And credibility is built slowly, quietly, and consistently. Leonor learned early that confidence is not loud. It does not rush to fill silence. It waits. Equally influential was Queen Letizia, whose background outside traditional aristocracy brought a modern awareness to Leonor's upbringing. From her, Leonor absorbed the importance of preparation, professionalism, and emotional intelligence. Confidence, in this sense, was not about being above others, but about being fully prepared to meet them. Every public appearance Leonor makes today reflects this dual influence, the institutional gravity of her father and the grounded realism of her mother. Together, they shaped a young woman who understands that authority is not asserted, it is recognized. One of the most revealing aspects of Leonor's confidence is her comfort with silence. In public events, she does not rush her speech. She does not over-explain. She pauses. She listens. She allows moments to breathe. This is not hesitation. It is control. Silence, when mastered, becomes a form of power. It communicates certainty without aggression and thoughtfulness without weakness. Leonor's ability to hold silence, especially at such a young age, is one of the clearest indicators that her confidence is internal, not performative. And then there is posture. Not the rigid posture of ceremony, but the relaxed alignment of someone who is not trying to impress. Leonor stands with balance, shoulders open, chin neutral. Her body language communicates readiness rather than tension. This is the result of years of protocol training, yes, but also of psychological conditioning designed to reduce self-consciousness. She is not focused on how she appears. She is focused on what she represents. That distinction changes everything. Perhaps the greatest secret behind Leonor's confidence lies in the way she was introduced to pressure, not shielded from it. From an early age, she was gradually exposed to public responsibility, each appearance carefully calibrated to stretch her limits without overwhelming her. This slow exposure builds resilience in a way no lecture ever could. Confidence grows when fear is faced in controlled doses. Leonor was never pushed into the spotlight all at once. Instead, she was allowed to grow into it, step by step, mistake by mistake, under watchful guidance. This process teaches a crucial lesson: nerves are not enemies, they are signals. And signals can be managed. When she speaks now, there is no trace of panic. There is awareness. She knows the weight of her words, and she respects it. That respect creates confidence because it replaces fear with responsibility. Another overlooked factor is discipline without indulgence. Leonor's life, despite its privileges, has been intentionally structured to avoid excess comfort. Routine, schedules, expectations, these elements create psychological stability. When life is predictable in structure, the mind becomes freer to adapt to unpredictability. Confidence thrives in order. This is why Leonor appears so composed even when facing unpredictable attention. She has been trained not to react emotionally to praise or criticism. Both are treated as noise. What matters is continuity. This mindset is essential for leadership in a modern monarchy, especially in Spain, where public trust is fragile and symbolism carries immense weight. Leonor's confidence reassures not through charm, but through seriousness. She does not perform confidence, she embodies readiness. There is also something else, something more subtle. Leonor knows her role is not about herself. This understanding removes a tremendous psychological burden. When confidence is tied to personal ego, it becomes fragile. But when confidence is rooted in duty, it becomes stable. Leonor's identity is anchored in service, not self-expression. That is why criticism does not shake her, and praise does not inflate her. She is not trying to be liked. She is trying to be worthy. This distinction is rare in public figures, and almost unheard of at her age. Even her emotional restraint, often misinterpreted as coldness, is actually a form of emotional maturity. She feels deeply, but she has learned when not to show it. Emotional regulation is one of the most advanced components of confidence. It allows presence without overwhelm, empathy without collapse. And when moments of genuine emotion do surface, they feel powerful because they are real, not habitual. Ultimately, the secret behind Leonor's confidence is not a single lesson, mentor, or moment. It is a system, a long-term design, a life shaped around readiness rather than reaction. She was prepared not to shine, but to stand firm. Not to dominate, but to endure. Not to impress, but to serve. Prepared for duty is not a slogan. It is a psychological state. And as Leonor steps closer to her future role, that confidence will not fade, it will deepen. Because it was never built on applause. It was built on preparation. And preparation, when done right, becomes unshakable. If you want, I can also adapt this into a YouTube short cinematic voiceover. Tighten it for high retention pacing. Add subtle emotional crescendos for mid-roll placement. Rewrite it in a Netflix-style royal documentary tone. Just tell me. Here is the second part, written as a direct continuation, same tone, no chapters, no breaks, designed to flow seamlessly after the first part and deepen the psychological and institutional layers behind her confidence. What makes Princess Leonor especially compelling is not just how composed she is when everything goes right, but how unchanged she remains when conditions shift. Cameras adjust, crowds vary, expectations rise. And yet, her demeanor remains consistent. That consistency is not natural. It is trained. One of the most underestimated foundations of Leonor's confidence is repetition. Not repetition meant to impress, but repetition designed to normalize pressure. Ceremonies, speeches, protocol routines, each one rehearsed until the unfamiliar becomes ordinary. When something feels ordinary, it stops triggering fear. And when fear is removed, confidence takes its place. This is why she does not look startled by formality. She has lived inside it long enough for it to feel familiar. Another quiet pillar of her confidence is accountability. Leonor was raised with the understanding that her actions carry consequences beyond herself. A mistake is never just a mistake. It becomes a message. This awareness might seem heavy, but paradoxically, it creates clarity. When responsibility is clearly defined, hesitation disappears. She knows what is expected of her. And she meets it. This clarity is reinforced through constitutional education, an area rarely discussed publicly, yet central to her formation. Leonor has been taught not merely what the monarchy represents, but what it cannot do. Boundaries create confidence. Knowing the limits of power is as important as knowing its reach. This prevents impulsiveness. It encourages reflection, and it builds trust. Her confidence is therefore institutional, not personal. She does not speak as herself alone, but as a representative of continuity. This removes the anxiety of self-performance and replaces it with the steadiness of role fulfillment. The presence of King Felipe VI during key moments of her development reinforced this approach. Philippe's leadership style, measured, restrained, and deeply aware of historical context, has provided Leonor with a living example of how authority can exist without dominance. From him, she learned that leadership is often about restraint. Knowing when not to act, when not to speak, when to allow institutions to function without interference. This lesson is visible in Leonor's body language. She does not rush to the center. She waits to be positioned. She does not interrupt flow. She adapts to it. These behaviors signal confidence because they demonstrate security in one's place. Confidence does not scramble for relevance. Then there is the influence of Queen Letizia, whose precision and professionalism added another dimension. Letizia's insistence on preparation, articulation, and situational awareness taught Leonor that confidence is also cognitive. It comes from understanding context, not just memorizing protocol. Leonor listens carefully because she has been trained to process information, not merely respond to cues. This allows her to adapt naturally, making her confidence appear effortless even when situations are complex. A critical turning point in Leonor's development came when she began addressing audiences directly. Public speaking reveals everything: fear, uncertainty, self-doubt. And yet, her early speeches showed remarkable control. Not perfection, but intention. She speaks deliberately. She breathes between phrases. She does not rush to finish. This pacing is intentional. It communicates thoughtfulness and gives her words weight. People instinctively trust speakers who appear unhurried. They sense authority not in volume, but in control. Confidence, in this form, becomes contagious. Another rarely mentioned factor is physical conditioning. Discipline over the body translates into discipline over the mind. Leonor's routine includes physical structure, not to create toughness for show, but to reinforce endurance and self-regulation. Physical steadiness supports emotional steadiness. This is why she stands comfortably during long ceremonies. Why fatigue does not show easily. Why her posture remains composed even under extended scrutiny. The body follows training. The mind follows the body. There is also a deliberate distance maintained between Leonor and constant validation. Unlike many public figures, she is not fed continuous feedback loops of approval. This is intentional. Confidence built on validation collapses without it. Confidence built on duty remains intact. Leonor does not seek applause because she was never conditioned to depend on it. Her confidence, therefore, is not reactive. It does not spike with praise or shrink with criticism. It is stable because it is self-contained. This stability is crucial in the context of Spain, where the monarchy's legitimacy depends heavily on perception of seriousness, continuity, and reliability. Leonor's confidence reassures not through charm or spectacle, but through predictability. People know what they are getting. And predictability, in leadership, is comfort. What we are witnessing is not a young woman performing confidence, but someone who has been systematically prepared to carry it. She does not borrow it from charisma. She generates it from readiness. That is why moments of silence around her feel intentional. Why her stillness draws attention. Why her restraint feels powerful. She is not waiting to become confident in the future. She already is, because she was prepared to be. And as her responsibilities increase, this confidence will not be tested, it will be revealed. Because it was never dependent on ease. It was forged under expectation. And expectation, when met consistently, becomes certainty.